Hi there, welcome to this video. So we're going to look at M6. Now the criteria is to evaluate the sources of information researched in task 1 and the established value ranges in task 3. So the extra information from the exam board is students must make reasoned judgments. So that means you make a judgment and you say why you've made that judgment on your confidence in the sources used throughout the investigation. For example, those used to design the method, to create the risk assessment, to establish the value ranges and the secondary data with reference to reliability and validity. Okay. So I've just thought of something else to add in here. Actually, I can add it in while we're going through. So what I've put is to write a paragraph about whether you think your research is credible based on the website that you got it from. So you can consider if it was written by a medical practitioner or if it was someone that had scientific knowledge, or do you think it was written by someone that wouldn't necessarily have that background knowledge? Was it reliable or not? Did you find the same information in more than one place? Because this would also give you more confidence. Now, I've just realised something that isn't on here, which it says on the top here, you need to talk about reliability and validity. So let me just go through those with you. So first of all, was it reliable? Now, reliable starts with reliable starts with the letter R. Now, a way to think about what that means is reliable repeat. Okay, so that is here. Did you find it in more than one place? Okay, so if you find the same information keep being said on this website, then on this site, then on this website, then that gives us more confidence that that data is reliable, okay, because it's repeated. This person said the same thing as this person. The NHS said the same thing as this other website. So therefore, I think it's more reliable. The other thing that it wants you to talk about is validity. So was the data valid as well? So valid means kind of, is it answering the original question? So like, is it in the right context, if you like? So was the data valid is the second question. Was the data valid? Which means does it directly answer the question you were trying to research? Okay, so think about using the words reliable and valid, because that's in the guidance from the exam board, so definitely worth using those words as you go through this part. So you need to if I were you, I would add a heading evaluating sources. And then think about doing a little paragraph on each of these things. So the first time you did some research was the symptom research. So you were looking up each of those patients and you were looking up all the symptoms they had to try and come up with 4 diseases. Okay, so what websites did you use when you were doing your symptom research? So open up your symptom research, look at the websites you use. So first of all, if you used AI, that is not reliable. AI can make things up. So if you have referenced AI, either you might want to go back and edit your symptom research, okay, because AI can make things up. Now, AI is brilliant because it searches hundreds of websites in just a second, much quicker than you could ever do it. But what it's most useful for doing is kind of doing that initial search for you, and then you want to double check the facts. So if when you put into ChatGPT or Copilot AI, what disease might a patient with this and this have, and it says they might have this disease, this disease, this disease, this disease, it's better then to go back to Google and type in what are the symptoms of diabetes, or what are the symptoms of kidney disease, NHS. Does the NHS say the same as the AI said? Because then we're checking the reliability of it. Okay, you don't need to reference AI if you've found the information elsewhere. If you want to leave the AI reference in as well as the decent, reliable reference, that's fine as well. It's up to you. Okay, just remember, if you are referencing AI, the reference in your reference list needs to be right. You need to include the AI that you use, like ChatGPT. You need to include the question that you asked exactly, and we call that the prompt. You need to include a screenshot of your question and the answer it gave, and you need to include the date. So referencing AI is more complicated, but you need to be really, really sure that you've done it right, because otherwise it will be counted as plagiarism, and that could fail your whole assignment and the whole course. All right, so it's very important you get that right. So as long as you did your referencing right, you're fine to move on. So you did your research for symptom research. So think about the sources you used for that. So if you've used like 5 different sources, you could talk about each one. So you could say the first source I used with the NHS. I think this is valid data because it was a page dedicated to diabetes. It was relevant because it was talking about the symptoms that people with diabetes are likely to experience, something like that. You can talk about it's reliable if you found it in more than one place. So you might say, I only looked this up on one website, therefore I'm not sure how reliable it is, but I would have thought the NHS would have checked that it was reliable before publishing. Or you could say, I found the symptoms of diabetes on this website, and this website, therefore giving me more confidence that it's reliable because I found it in more than one place. The second place you did some research was your method writing. Now, most of you just copied the methods from the class booklet. That's fine. So you would just say that when writing my methods, I got these from a class resource. I trust that they're valid and reliable because they were given to me by the college, and we tested them out before we did our real coursework. The risk assessments, you reference those hopefully from CLIAPS, from those student safety sheets. So we are confident that they are valid and reliable because we used the relevant sheet for our experiment, so it's valid. And we trust that CLIAPS is reliable. They will have researched in more than one place on our behalf to make sure that it was reliable. The last thing that you will have researched is your established value ranges. Now, I don't know what websites you used for that, but like your symptom research, if you got it off AI, it's okay, but you need to say you're not 100% sure how valid and reliable it is. AI does use lots of references to come up with its answers, but it can make things up to fill in the gaps. So ideally, we would have double checked on other websites that we trust are more valid and more reliable. Okay, so go through each of these 4, best to have a paragraph for each, and try and get the words reliable and valid in there. Think about who wrote that website. Is it a reliable website? Is it a newspaper? It's not reliable. Is it the NHS? It is reliable. Okay, so thinking really carefully about where we got it from. Now it's to evaluate. The word evaluate means both sides of the argument. So you can say, I think is reliable for this reason, but I'm not sure on the reliability for this reason. It's okay to say both sides. It's not a judgment of you use the best websites. It's a judgment of can you evaluate which sources are better to use than other sources. Okay, we are evaluating our sources. So we're saying what was the good thing about this source, however, what was the bad thing? And sometimes the bad thing might be simply that you didn't reference the same thing from more than one place, so you haven't double checked the reliability. Okay.